Hi, and welcome to the Law Simplified. I'm Shaveen Bandaranaike. So, you've done the hard work, you've gone through the material provided by your university, you've gone through the textbooks that have been recommended, and perhaps you even took some of the advice that you would have seen on the weekly videos that I launch on this very channel, and you read around the subject. You had a look at articles, newsletters, the news in general for that matter, and you've enriched your knowledge in terms of the law and any specific topic that you're covering. Now comes a particular moment in any student's life, in any law student's life, that I've come across through having spoken to my fast track and masterclass students. And this is quite common across the board. It's a phenomenon that I like to call procrastination of response. Now, what do I mean by this? More often than not, students tend to spend an exorbitant amount of time really trying to grasp at the strings of the law. They try to learn the black letter law, they try to memorize, they try to figure out what facts are part and parcel of each case. They try to absorb as much as they can about the law itself. It's not sufficient to just rote learn the law and the specifics of the law. You need to be able to articulate, understand, analyze, and then later on reflect on the law. But having said that, more often than not, students spend most of their time, I would suggest 90 to 95% of their time, studying and trying to figure out what the law is about and to understand the nuances of it. One of the common reasons for this, as I have noted, is this procrastination of response. Namely, the fact that there is an innate sense of fear and agitation that is created in the mind's eye of the student when they try to think of attempting examination questions from past papers. Now, the moment they start thinking of this, be it problem or essay type questions, they tend to spiral back into the facts or into the premise that maybe I need to study a bit more, maybe I need to read a bit more or understand a bit more. Now, first and foremost, this is normal. Every single student goes through this, and this feeling of feeling some sort of trepidation, so to speak, at understanding and going through and attempting a question is purely due to the fact that, for the lack of a better phrase, we fear that which we do not know. Much like any other sport, the examination, a law examination specifically, is all about training. You're not going to get it right the first time. It's all about practice, practice, and ever more practice. So this video is intended to give you a little bit of a head start in overcoming that fear, that trepidation of trying to even look at or let alone attempt a question in law, be it a problem-based question or a scenario-based question or that of an essay question. Now, what I want to communicate to you, or what I want you to understand, is that depending on the type of question that you are presented with, understand that your examiner wants something different from you. And if you are able to position yourself in that personality, in that mindset, the rest of answering that question is a walk in the park. Now, what I mean by this is, for example, many scenario or problem-based questions will give you a direction which uses one particular word: advise. Now, 9 out of 10 times, it will be this. They will ask you to advise the client or advise such and such person. The very notion of this, the very idea that the question tells you to advise, means that the examiner expects you to position yourself as counsel. In other words, think of yourself as a barrister or a lawyer that's advising the said individual. The rest of your answer then has to be targeted at that advice component. The language that you use, the way that you articulate your arguments, the way that you present the facts and the law must holistically be in that mindset. Think of it as if you are advising a friend or a colleague who has come to you with a problem and asked for your opinion on it. The only difference between you telling your friend or colleague the solution or a scenario that might work or an argument that might work and the one that you'll apply in an examination context is purely the way in which you write it down or you suggest it. When you're talking to a friend or a colleague, you'll be quite personal on a one-to-one basis. When you're writing an answer, however, you would not refer to yourself and you'll use academic vernacular and phrases such as it would be suggested, it could be argued, it is submitted, and so on. Now, conversely, if you have an essay-based question, or in very remote instances in terms of problem-based questions as well, if the direction is discuss or critically analyze, think of yourself as the examiner himself, or a professor for that matter. What is expected of you is to look at it academically and in a very indifferent and a wide-scoped manner. What I mean by this is, unlike in a scenario where you are expected to advise someone, in a discuss or critically analyze context, you're supposed to look at variable opportunities or presumptions that are outside of the usual direct requirement. In advise, you're going direct to the point. You're looking at the conviction that you want to show the examiner. You're trying to show that you are absolutely certain of the argument that you're presenting. You're counsel after all. But in discuss, you're much like an academic. You're going to give the benefit of the doubt. You're going to look at circumstances much more objectively, so to speak. Right, so this was a very quick video to help you overcome your fear, your trepidation in attempting problem and essay-based questions, to help you train. Just keep those 2 points in mind and position yourself in that particular context. Once you've done that, the rest should just fall into place. But remember, more than anything else, we need to practice, practice, and practice. Come exam time, you'll feel like it's just another walk in the park. But until the next time that we meet, have fun, stay safe, and obey the law.